So today's video is a twofer. Usually I do these in separate videos, but I decided to do it all at once. It's the comic review as per usual, and then the what I'll be reading for the next few weeks. So actually I've been very inconsistent with those videos. Main reason is that because a lot of it was I just keep changing. If I say this is what I'm reading this month, usually some of those books now as I finish them I replace them with other books, especially the image books. Like if one's 12 issues, I still have, because I want to be reading at least a consistent amount of image books every day per month. So 12 issue series is done. Let's move on. How many do I have? Like an 18 issue series, a 20 issue series, or 19 issue series? So I can cancel that. So the rest of that month is it's like 19 plus 11. It's 31, and that's right too. Yeah. Because I do the math wrong sometimes. I actually have to, I still have to count the days to make sure I'm doing it right. But that's how I do it. I do for the image books, and of course, I don't want it to always be the same amount. So of course, I'll finish some books, and I won't replace those books with other books. But pretty much, I am doing that. In fact, if it's a 4-issue series, and there's only one 4-issue series, I replace that one with another book because it's just one less book, but. Now, some of these you have seen before. I'm just going to go over here, and I don't know if I want to do the comic reviews first, or if I want to do the comic reviews first. Can I get them all at once? Yes, I can. It's very heavy, though. Alright. Very carefully. There we go. Nice stack of comic reviews that I finished. 4 comics that I finished. I don't know why I said it like that. Joe the Barbarian. This is by Grant Morrison. This is one I've read before, several times before, and that's because this is a really solid book. Now, there is something that keeps me from reading it more consistently, and that's kind of because this is one of those books that, unlike something like Preacher or Why the Last Man, or I should pick something that's also a miniseries, because both those are 60-plus issues of story. Why the Last Man being 60 issues, and then Preacher being 66, if you include all the miniseries and one-shots. So, what was I saying? Lost my train of thought there. It's gone. Oh, so, I remember a lot from this book. And it's one of those books where you remember so much from it, it's kind of there's no real surprises. I'll go back to something like The Last Siege, which is also an 8-issue miniseries like this. That's by Landry Q. Walker, published by Image Comics. And that series, there's a surprising amount that I forgot, even though it hadn't been that long since I last read it. This one, it was I'd take 4 months off, which is double the amount of The Last Siege, I want to say at least, which is double the amount of The Last Siege, and there'd be, almost the entire book I remember. So it is memorable, and I'm not saying that The Last Siege is forgettable. It's just the way my brain works. My brain works very weird. One of the upsides to the way my brain works is that I can read the same book 18,000 times in the span of 2 months and still forget what happens a day later. Not a day. It's obviously an exaggeration, but that's to illustrate the point I'm trying to make. But anyways, speaking of illustrations, this is illustrated. It was not done on purpose, by the way. This is illustrated by Sean Gordon Murphy. And Sean Gordon Murphy, especially with Tokyo Ghost, a lot of his characters look the same. He likes drawing blondes. I don't know if that's just purely coincidental with the writers he's working with, but he loves drawing blondes or light-haired women. And Tokyo Ghost in The Wake, I literally, you could show a panel from The Wake, tell me it's from Tokyo Ghost, and I would not bat one single fucking eye. That's how much of a type he has with his artwork. It's so, it's consistent that it's almost plagiarism at some points. This, however, I did not notice it. There were several times I was oh yeah, who's the artist here again? Oh yeah, it's Sean Murphy, the same guy who I'm oh, Tokyo Ghost, same, I can tell it's the same as The Wake by Scott Snyder. Completely different artist, completely different writer, completely different series, completely different publisher. Everything is completely different. Except they're both kind of post-apocalyptic. Spoilers for The Wake, but not really a spoiler. But The Wake is one of those books that takes place in 2 different time settings. And it's talking about only the second time setting. It's exactly like Tokyo Ghost. Pretty much interchangeable. But anyways, this is definitely one worth checking out. This is more me saying it because of how many times I've read it. It's almost by the skin of its teeth I kind of get sick of it. That's why I take really long gaps in between rereads for this one. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the writing, but it's also very well paced. I think a lot of the reason why I come back to it is because I remember how great the pacing was, and especially if I'm in the mood for it, that's gonna tickle that. That's that funny bone. That's gonna scratch that itch, pretty much, and very well so. 9 out of 10 for Joe the Barbarian. Absolute Wonder Woman is probably my second favorite of the Absolute books. Now, I've only read 4. Absolute Batman, this, Superman, and Flash. And my order is Flash, this, Batman, Superman. None of them are bad. They're all good. I like them all. I'm eager to read more of each series, especially of Batman and Wonder Woman, and Flash, of course, and Superman, and all of them again. But especially with the ones that end cliffhangers. And this one ends on a somewhat of a cliffhanger. It's more just because of all the changes that they make to Wonder Woman's lore. I wonder if all the other changes they're gonna make, how this Wonder Woman's gonna interact with the real world and stuff like that. But definitely worth checking out. Kelly Thompson knocks it out of the park with this one. It is almost as good as everyone is saying it is. But then again, I'm thinking more of... I think, overall, it was somewhat mixed. From what I remember, there was some people that weren't as crazy about this one as others were. That's why I say with an asterisk what I just said about how it's maybe not as good as everyone's saying it is, but then I'm well, it all sounds bad as people are saying it is. It's definitely worth checking out. And I cannot wait to read Volume 2. Also 9 out of 10. Maybe an 8.5, but probably 9 out of 10. Whatever score I gave it on Instagram. Spider-Verse versus Venomverse should win the Eisner for Best Setup, Horrible Execution. This was extremely boring, paint by numbers. Even if you haven't read something like this before, you can pretty much guess what's going to happen, and you're absolutely fucking right. This is Battle Royale, the most basic bitch Battle Royale book I've ever read. This was such a disappointment with everything it was setting up. Now, I know they weren't going to... So they have characters they set up, and they're the Spider God, whatever the fuck it was. He was going over people. He was like, no, I don't want this person, I want this person. And we have a vampire hunter Mary Jane with a vampire Spider-Man. And that was really cool. And they say, no, character's not going to have... character's not going to be in the story. And I was like, alright, whatever. I get that. You're not going to... It's kind of it's not really a tease, but kind of, sort of. But then I completely forgot about that as I started reading the book. And I was like, wait, where's Mary Jane? Oh, that's right, too, because she got rejected. It is just so boring, so forgettable. And I blame the fact that there's 2 writers on this book. Matt Groom wrote Infernal Girl Red, and it was a first issue, and it was a pretty thick first issue. It's 50 pages. Actually, it's a prestige book, so they're each 50-plus pages. Not prestige plus. It's how Batman, Last Dark Knight on Earth, Batman Three Jokers. It's that format with Infernal Girl Red. And I read the first issue of it, and I remember really liking it. I forget, it's kind of forgettable, I kind of forgot exactly, but Self-Made. That was also a phenomenal series. So I went into this one expecting that basically to be just like that. But then Kyle Higgins is a writer on this book. And I don't know if it's because I had just finished up Deep Cuts, but remembering how, even though I really liked Deep Cuts, it's 56 pages, and I felt every single page. There's a lot of dialogue, especially because each issue follows different characters, and each issue is a one-shot. So they got to tell a story, have to make sure everything that they need to tell you about the story, the characters, all that shit, is told in that still limited amount of time. 56 pages is a lot of pages, especially compared to comics, as it's usually 23 or 32 or less. So to tell that story in 56 pages, yeah, it's a lot more than 32, but not that much more if you really get down to it. So that's what this book felt like. It felt like every single page I was feeling the length of, and the pacing was awful, and I have to blame Kyle Higgins. Because Matt Groom knows good pacing with the 2 other books I just took, other examples I just gave you guys, but then Kyle Higgins is yeah, not as much. Even Hadrian's Wall, some issues were better paced than others, but some were really pretty badly paced, and it's because of the exposition dialogue and the over-explaining, which that had to be. It was necessary, but it was also like, well, the author probably could have done this a better way, but I get that why he did that way. So I blame Kyle Higgins the way this book turned out. It might not be his fault. Maybe it's just Marvel themselves. But this was absolutely boring, and I give it a 2 out of 10. Not a recommend in the slightest. And I only give it a 2 out of 10 because there were 2 issues that I really liked. So also 2 out of 7 because there's 7 issues. Because there's 2, so what happens is that there's 2 one-shots that set up the story, and then there's a 5-issue miniseries. And the 5-issue miniseries was awful. It's just really bad, and I was so glad to finish it. Such a disappointment, too. Like, I had no expectations going in, and I was still let down. Severely let down. Royal City, Volume 3, right? I was going to say it has to be Volume 3. Absolutely incredible series. I did a lengthy review of this on my Instagram, which I will be if I remember to. Pretty much everyone knows I have an Instagram anyways, because I have been pretty consistent. When I mention my Instagram, I put in the description what the Instagram is. But I'll put the link to my Instagram in the description of this video. But basically, this is a phenomenal book. Everything about it is perfect. A 10 out of 10, a must-read. One of the most emotionally charged comics, graphic novels I've ever read. It is the perfect argument for why graphic novels are a lot more than everyone gives it credit for. Most people give it credit for. 10 out of 10, absolutely phenomenal stuff. Jeff Lemire is right at home with the story, too. It's 10 out of 10, and yeah, 10 out of 10, must read. Highest recommendation possible. Same can be said for Preacher. This is not planned. It's just the way it had them stacked. 10 out of 10. I want to own the series, but I can't because of how many other books I'm getting. I would have bought this series 5 years ago. Actually, I almost did because I was at the comic shop. I saw all 6 volumes, but I don't think I had the money for it at the time. And then I did, and then they were gone. And it never happened again. But I will very soon be buying this series all myself. This is my favorite graphic novel of all time. It's all I need to say. Garth Ennis's magnum opus, and just graphic novel mediums in general, magnum opus. Phenomenal stuff. 10 out of 10, like 11 out of 10, highest recommendation possible, like seal of approval, all of that. The Butcher's Boy. A very strange but interesting story that feels very unique, but also it feels like it could be at home. Like A24 would knock out this project. A24, get a good director on it, and you got the next horror masterpiece that everyone is talking about. The new obsession, figuratively and literally. Not figuratively, but I meant to say like no pun intended. The next obsession, the next horror movie obsession, if they were adapt this into a movie form. It is a little bit overwritten here and there, but not really. Also, I just felt like there was some scenes that were like, why is pacing kind of off here? I noticed that this time more than I did the first 2 times, so maybe it was just me, but I don't know. But this is still phenomenal stuff. Absolute must read. Landry Q. Walker is a supremely underrated writer. 9 out of 10. Loki the Liar. Now, this is one that I had reread, trying to get to like this one, because I really do like Dan Waters as a writer, but I just cannot get into this one. This is just a weird way of telling a story with writing that. I think what Dan Waters is doing, he's trying to channel his inner Kieran Gillen. He's trying to make this like the next Journey into Mystery. And maybe he pulls it off so well that it has the pacing of Journey into Mystery, which I did like that series, but it also took me a while to get into Journey into Mystery. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a Journey into Mystery curse that still has been lifted in my eyes, or my eyes for me at least. But I don't know. It's just not my thing. 4 issues drags on. But I do recommend it, because I think it is just me being, again, a Journey into Mystery curse for me. Call it the Sandman curse, because Sandman, it's also because of how much you can make the argument that it's basically Kieran Gillen's Sandman. being because of how long it took me to get into Sandman, to actually like Sandman, not seeing it, and I feel it was a bit overrated. I don't anymore, obviously. I think it's a phenomenal series, but not like it's top 20. Like I will always die on this hill that I will never change my mind with this. That it's good. It is top 20 material, but if I put into my top 20 comics of all time, it would get an honorable mention. It would not be number 20. That's how critical I am of Sandman. I still like it. I think it's a great series. Like definitely top 30, but top 20 I had to put in an honorable mention. So maybe it's my 21st best comic of all time. Like my 21st most favorite comic of all time. But again, like I said, because of all that, I think that's what this is for me. So maybe I need to read it a few more times, but I am not not looking forward to reading it again anytime soon. Lumberjanes is absolutely adorable series, an absolutely adorable series. If you like Rantel Dremeyer's writing, if you like those kinds of books, this is perfect for you. I think it would it would be a nice. Oh, I just had the word, now it's gone. I'm trying to say something along the lines of like someone who ordinarily wouldn't read this book. It's a nice stepping stone, to get like males into reading something like it's geared towards teenage girls. Like, and I like the Ms. Marvel Kamala Khan series. I actually kind of liked Kelly Sudakonic's run on Captain Marvel, and I like this series. But then again, this series could very easily have turned into the next Ryan North trash fire. Squirrel Girl is my absolute least favorite comic of all time. If I have my favorite comic is Preacher, my least favorite is Squirrel Girl. A series I hate so much that I am still skeptical to check out anything else Ryan North has written. He did a Jughead series that came out after Chip Zdarsky's run on Jughead, and it had such a drop in quality that I think it should win an Eisner Award for biggest drop in quality. It was like thud. Like it just like it's like when you drop it when the AC unit falls out of an apartment window and it has a loud like it's that much of a drop in quality. And it's that noticeable. But Lumberjanes is the antithesis to all those kinds of books. And people look at this and they're like, oh, is this going to be cringe and annoying with annoying characters that are really obnoxious? Oh my god, look at this, and oh my god, this looks like that is the complete antithesis of that. I jumped into this one being very skeptical to read it, and I absolutely loved it. It does have a bit of drop in quality, but not as egregious. It's just more noticeable, and it was one of those things where I was like, kind of getting sick of the series. And I dropped it, and then didn't pick it back up until just now. And because of how long it's been in between rereads, I do have to go all the way back to the beginning. Obviously, as I've mentioned before, my memory is kind of bad for books and movies and all that. It's kind of weird. At least it's not bad for remembering things, although it is that too. It's not. It could be worse. But 9 out of 10. Deadpool and Wolverine, A Time of Strife. This is the summer blockbuster in comic form. Not the actual movie in comic form. It's not the story of the movie in comics. I just mean it feels like a summer blockbuster in comic book form. It is absolutely a popcorn fest. Balls to the wall action. Just insanely entertaining thrill ride from start to finish. It is really good, but it's also got a somewhat unique story that, like with a lot of X-Men stories, can be confusing for some readers, but I think as it goes along, it makes more sense. I certainly was getting more and more what the story was about as it went along. I just thought it was a bit convoluted here and there. 8 out of 10, absolute must read. Oh, and Lumberjanes is written by Grace Ellis, going back to Lumberjanes, who also wrote Moonstruck, which is one of my guilty pleasures. It's obviously not targeted towards my demographic, but I still like it. Darren Aronofsky's Human Nature. This book, I had no idea was even coming out. I had no idea Darren Aronofsky even was writing another graphic novel, but he is. And at times, I could tell that there's 3 writers on this book. It's a bit messy here and there. But when it hits, it absolutely does hit. It makes every last complaint I have about this series, which is very minimal to begin with, completely completely extinguished. This is an absolute must-read, and on a major cliffhanger that I was kind of pissed off about, but in the best way possible. 9.5 out of 10. Absolute must-read. Everyone knocks it out of the park. This should definitely be up for the Eisner Awards next year. Cannot wait for book 2. I hope there's only 2 books in the series. I don't think I'll be patient enough to wait for book 3. Bad enough waiting for book 2 to come out. Imagine having to wait for book 3 and as much as I hate to say it, book 4. Day Tripper. Day Tripper is one I've read before, but not in this format. I had to read in this format, and it absolutely complements the format and that it's in, because this is one of the finest graphic novels of all time. Definitely top 20. It would probably be at number 20. It says a lot about life and mortality and family and relationships. It's one of those books. It's pretty damn deep for a graphic novel. It has a lot of quotes that I absolutely love. Of course, when my brain works, I've forgotten them, but I remember they had really good quotes that I think at any point in someone's life they're going to identify with at least 1 or 2 quotes in here. One of the most important graphic novels that everyone should read. It is mature readers, but I think 13 and up is fine. I think every teenager should read this, and then every adult should read this. It is just one of those books that everyone needs to read at least once. 10 out of 10. I go so far as to say 10 out of 10. Even though top 20, it starts at 9 out of 10. So top 10 are all 10 out of 10s. Obviously, top 5 is the same. And then top 20 would be like 9 out of 10. That's 10 out of 10. So maybe it would be number 10. Again, you guys can probably tell that my top 5 I have down pat, but not my top 10. And especially not my top 20. Wonder Woman Historia. Now, the next 3 books are all these Prestige plus DC books. And each issue is at least 48 pages. This was 54. But you could tell me it was 72 pages or 64, the same amount as Harleen is, and I would not bat one single eye, because that's how bad the pacing is at times. It's a phenomenal series that's really damn good, and Kelly Sue DeConnick, defies all expectations in the best way possible, but you can really feel the length of this book. It's, again, phenomenal stuff, and it's more just because I'm not used to... It's been a long time since I read a DC Prestige Plus book, and it's been a long time since I read this, and I remember the pacing being a bit better, so it was more just... It's a bit biased here, but also just the way that it's paced, too. But definitely worth checking out at least once, and I strongly suggest waiting for the Absolute Edition to come out. It's worth every penny. 9 out of 10. Catwoman Lonely City is really good, but it feels like there's something missing. And that's kind of how it feels like with a lot of these DC Black Label books, especially these Prestige Plus books. It feels like there's something missing. They're really good stuff, but it feels there's something missing. This one, I love the Gotham City, those books sets up, and the characters that it sets up, and all that. Without giving too much away, it immediately captures you. There's something that the Catwoman says, like, oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah, it's not the first DC graphic novel that doesn't take place in modern current continuity. Not the first time it's done this, especially with ones that are more Elseworlds tales, but it always captures you right away, at least for me. And again, without giving too much away, the stakes are already heightened, immediately heightened, and it does make for pretty captivating stuff. Like it grips you. It kind of edges your seat. Like, what's gonna happen? Who's gonna win at the end of the day? Because it's pretty. It's not that predictable. But great stuff. 8 out of 10. Cliff Chang. I don't know if that's Cliff Chang's first writing outing, but if it is, he knocked it out of the park. He was definitely paying attention to all the writers for whose series he was doing the artwork for. Batman One Dark Knight. Again, artist turned author Jock. And again, like with Cliff Chang, same as Catwoman, honestly. Stakes heightened, but different Gotham, obviously. It's kind of the same Gotham we're known to. This could very easily take place in modern Batman continuity. But pretty good stuff. And again, like with Catwoman, feels there's something missing, but at the end of the day, if this is Jock's first writing credit, absolutely phenomenal job that he did for his first outing. 8 out of 10. And that is it for the comic reviews. So the next books are all what I'll be reading for the next few weeks. Now, some of these I have shown before. So for the ones I have shown before, I'm going to go pretty fast. I'm just going to show what the book is. If I feel the need to, go over the author, but very quick. So, for example, Bitter Root Volume 4, David F. Walker and Chuck Brown. Now, I did, before I showed off the hardcover, unfortunately the hardcover only was right there. Right there. Unfortunately, the hardcover is only the first 3 soft covers. So the fourth I had to always be reading soft cover. I want to finish the series off. Of what's in, so the first 3 volumes are only the only ones in hardcover. If I want to finish the series off of what's been released so far, I have to read the 4th volume in softcover. I'm forced to do that, which is fine. I'm not one of those people that's a huge stickler about it, but it was just something I wanted to point out. It's why this cover looks different. You're right to assume that. Rose, Volume 3. It's a 3-volume series. Bitter Root's 4-volume series. Meredith Finch, really great. Like I said before, my type of fantasy. Every itch that scratches when I want to read a fantasy comic, it scratches itch one above and beyond that. And I've read this series 1,000 times. I'll be reading 1,000 times more. I know it's like I was reviewing it, but it's like I've read it before so many times. But I think that if I'm rereading a series, I really like it, I should mention that. So it's gonna come off as if I'm reviewing it. And like I've been saying, I've been so far behind, because I wanted to do like a whole separate review for the ones that are my PC collection for image books, just all the image books I've been reading recently. And I wanted to do that in a separate video, and I've been getting so far behind on those, so I might as well just be reviewing them now, you know, once that rereads. Gasolina is a 3-volume series. Read this series so many times that Volume 1, the binding's starting to break, which really pisses me off, because like, that shouldn't be. Yeah, it's been a long, I've been rereading it, but I'm pretty careful about it when I'm reading it. I'm not like stretching at the spine too much, whatever. But Sean Makiewicz, who's usually just an editor, so it's kind of cool to see him be a writer, and he knocks it out of the park with this one. Thief of Thieves, 3-volume series for Gasolina. I'm just gonna say how many volumes there are, not how many issues. I did it before. 7-volume series for Thief of Thieves. Multiple writers. We're now into the Andy Diggle run of Thief of Thieves. Also really good. Second time reading that series, though. Has this insane drop-off in Volume 7, where you can tell it's a different writer, and it's really kind of bad. But next up, we have Southern Bastard, which is 4 volumes, written by Jason Aaron. On Volume 3. This one I reread mostly because my rereads fall under 3 criteria. And I always mention this, by the way. 3 criteria. First is reread to redeem, like with Loki the Liar. Then it's reread because I really liked it, like with Preacher, and with Southern Bastards, and with Rose, and with Gasolina, and with Thief of Thieves. Then it's reread to refresh either my memory or because, the rest of the series is available now, so I'm going to read the rest of the series. That was with Scalped, which is also written by Jason Aaron. Same with Seven Bastards, and same feel as Seven Bastards too. Like if you like one, you like the other. Do not expect Southern Bastards to be as good as Scalped. You will be disappointed. And all of this series has been finished. But for me, it was not because they finally are announcing the return of Southern Bastard. No, it's more because I forgot how the series ends and starts, kind of, sort of. There's something that happens at the end of the first volume that, as I was reading the second volume, I was like, wait, that happened? And I was very confused. And that was just reading issue 5, right after issue 4. So, of course, I had to reread it again to refresh. But, Volume 3, 4-volume series, Jason Aaron. Great stuff. Not as good as Scalped, but almost. Evolution, and this is a 3-volume series on Volume 3, almost done with this, in fact. Written by 4 different writers, but Joshua Williamson is only the first volume. But it's consistently, the writers are James Asmus, Joseph Keaton-Jay, and Christopher Sabala, which fits perfectly with volumes 2 and 3 because it's three different characters, like 3 different places. Like so, it's basically an anthology the same central storyline, but following 3 different characters. So it's 3 different writers. And I do play a game where I'm like, if it is in fact, like, so it's Hannah, the father, Nikki's father, and Nikki, and Claire and her girlfriend, Rochelle. Claire and her girlfriend, Rochelle, I'm just thinking of my little theory, my little game theory. That is written by Christopher Zabala, because he likes to write LGBT characters, so it's kind of falls in line. Nikki and his father, that is Joseph Keaton J, because of what I remember from Shudder. And then finally, James Asmus does the Nikki and his father. That's my hypothesis anyways. There's no way to prove it because they don't tell you, but it adds up, in my opinion. Just wanted to throw that out there, because I don't think I mentioned that last time. Peter Panzerfaust on Volume 4 out of 5. Curtis J. Weeb, in the middle between reread, because I liked it a lot, and reread to refresh. Because there's a lot of things I forgot about this that happen in this. There's a lot that happens in the series. Like I said before, this is, if they made this in the 80s, it feels like this is they made it into a movie, everybody was saying, like, oh, it reminds me of the Goonies, oh, it reminds me of this 80s movie, classic children's 80s movie. That's that feel. But it takes place in World War II, Germany, and France, and it's like a globe-trotting adventure, and it's really damn good. But it has that, instead of being hyper-violent, and a lot of language and all that shit, and being super dark, instead it takes us slightly. There's still pretty dark shit that happens in this book, but it's slightly lighter tone than you expect a World War II comic to be taking in. It's Peter Pan in World War II Germany. A lot of nods to classic Peter Pan lore, and that's why I say it feels like the Goonies of World War II graphic novels. Shit. Almost over. I'm going to speed run these two, because they're both the same author. Autumn Lands and Aerosmith by Curtis J. Weeb, by Kurt Busiek, who I have an extremely unpopular opinion about. The only thing that's written by him that I consistently liked was Marvels. Everything else, I just kind of can't stand. Autumn Lands and Aerosmith are close in behind Marvels, especially Aerosmith. Like, I was excited to reread Aerosmith. So, in the middle between Read to Redeem and reread because I liked it a lot for these 2 books. The Mighty is one of the only books, actually the next one's the same, that I haven't read before. This is written by Pierre Tomasi, and after this, I'll probably most likely be reading this book here. I say most likely because plans could change. His other series that actually fucking finished, Blood Tree. The other ones I haven't finished is Rockefellers and another Ghost Machine book. And he's on another one too, Million Dollar Kid. Which at least Million Dollar Kid is a 4-issue miniseries and co-written by Jeff Johns. It's like, my god. Slow down, buddy. And he has 2, it's Rockefellers and what's the other one? I can't remember the other title. Hornspeed and Halo, that's the other one. So Hornspeed and Halo and Rockefellers are 2 ongoings. I'm not saying you can't have 2 series going on consistently and you're like, oh my god, it's like the quality's gonna drop and all that. And I'm just saying, like, it's kind of a bit annoying for a completist like me. But it was just gonna throw that out there too. But yeah, probably Blood Tree after this one. Philadelphia is the other one I haven't read before. We're on volume 2, and it's 6. Sorry. Yes? Duh, because volume 4 I don't have in stock. So yeah, 6 softcover volumes, or 2 hardcovers and 2 softcovers if you want to collect it all at once. There's no 3rd volume hardcover. The series is on hiatus, and will never be finished. Alright, so that's it for the Image books. Now we're still on books I'll be reading for the next few weeks kind of thing. 34 minutes, nice. Actually, not that bad. Because we're doing pretty good, actually. Alright, anyways. Batman, the Brave, and the Bold. This one I still have not finished. I'm almost done with it. What else was I going to say about it? Oh, so yeah, I was right. This is taking its material from each issue. I don't know why they don't just do, like, the first 4 issues complete. All these stories in there. I get it. It's... So what this series does, from what I understand, is that some are arcs. This isn't arcs. It's a bunch of just one-shot stories. Maybe this is all the one-shot stories. So, I don't know. But, like with anthologies, spoiler alert, very inconsistent. But you'll get a full review once I finally finish the series. Or just finally finish this book, rather. These next three are maybes. Now, the next one I'll definitely be reading once I get around to it. It's a library book. But it's going to be this month or next month. Probably next month. So I say next few weeks. It might even be, like, if I say next few weeks mean 3 weeks, I probably mean week 4 or 5. For Two-Face, Separation Anxiety by Christian Ward. This one I got really quickly. So my library does what's called a materials request. And so long as it's something that A, they think more than you is going to read, and B, has been released within the last year, and C, literally no other library has it, they'll get it for you. And that's why I'm able to finally read this 6-issue miniseries. This one I'll definitely be reading very soon, once I get around to it. But the one that's more questionable is Hercules. It's one I own, so I can choose whether or not I want to read it. But it's just a lot. This one and the next one, Viva Vendetta, it's just they have different pacing. They were released a long time ago, so the pacing's different. I'm just like, I want to read this, or I just wait even longer? Viva Vendetta I should not, because it's a library book, but without giving too much away, I can wait. It's a long time to read Viva Vendetta, longer than they normally would for library books. Alright, moving on. Fire and Ice Volumes 1 and finally Volume 2. Now, this is a great example of reread to refresh. Volume 2 I'll be reading for the first time ever. Volume 1 I have read before, but I want to reread Volume 1 to catch myself up on what happens for Volume 3. For Volume 2. For Volume 2. Oh, and Joanne Starer writes this, and Joanne Starer wrote that Harley Quinn book, that April Fool's Day Harley Quinn book that everyone was clowning on for, and very rightfully so, because it was stupid. But this, Fire and Ice, is really good. Like, I really liked it the first time I read it, and it's a knockout, like, it was such a surprise. It's my kind of book. Again, like I said, the Lumberjanes kind of feel. But it's targeted towards a slightly older audience than Lumberjanes is. Although, the same person that reads Lumberjanes, I'm thinking like a 6-year-old that reads Lumberjanes is like all ages, probably shouldn't be reading Fire and Ice. Like, if I were at a comic shop and her father put Fire and Ice on the counter, I wouldn't be an asshole, a GameStop asshole, and be like, "Sir, this comic has a lot of language and a lot of sexual innuendo. Are you sure you want your daughter to read this book?" I'd be a dick. It's not that bad. I think the worst word they use is maybe bitch, and I think it's probably censored. I just remember it's a little bit, like, it's like PG-13 maybe kind of thing. Actually, no, in today's terms, obviously, every fucking superhero book, every fucking superhero movie is rated PG-13, so obviously it'd be that. But it's more like Superman, you know what I mean? Like, how anyone can watch Superman, it's not that bad. That's what I'm trying to say for Fire and Ice. Morning in America. This is written by Magdalene Visaggio. And Magdalene Visaggio is a very controversial name in comics. She has said a lot, she is a trans person, but I don't think she goes by they, them pronouns. I think it's she pronouns, she, her pronouns. But anyways, she said something very controversial on Twitter that rightfully so was criticized. And rightfully so, she was dogpiled for. Now, dogpiled, I mean, like, they not throwing hate towards her. I don't condone, I think that's kind of silly to do that. But they were criticizing her, like, on, like, Reddit and on YouTube. Not directly to her, but in response. And rightfully so. And so I say dogpiled. But separating the art from the artist, she is a pretty good writer. And Morning in America was one of those books I actually really liked. Side note, I had ChatGPT translate some of the dialogue because it's in a different language, and not only did it do really well, but I had to do it in the same font. So here, I'm just gonna flip through it. I got right to it. How quaint. So it did this exact font that you see here. It did it, but in English. It was so fucking cool. ChatGPT, I think, is a great toy. So, little sidetrack here, little tangent here about ChatGPT. Do I think it should be used as a cheat for students? Fuck no. Absolutely fucking not. Now, I think I could help out kids with their homework, definitely can. And it's helped me out with my profession, like finding jobs and like writing resumes and sharpening my resume. And my career advisor uses it too. So I think it's a helpful tool, a helpful toy. It should not be a replacement for any fucking thing. And just so you know, I don't copy paste what ChatGPT gives me for my resume and paste it. I take bits and pieces from it and use my fucking brain to fill in the gaps. That's what I want to say there. But again, having it translated and keep it in that same format so it looks like it was just like, it doesn't, like, you can't tell a difference, that is really fucking cool. And I gotta say that. And I think even BB No Money has to admit that it can be used as a tool. I don't have a jacket of the hood on right now because it's fucking 90 degrees outside. But he did this really cringe thing with this hood over his head. He walks like this. And he's like, I'm going in and I'm gonna fucking beat ChatGPT up and call him a clanker. And it's so fucking cringe. Like, you can hate ChatGPT all you want. I don't think opinion is one thing, but to be a fucking pleb about it, to be an F slur about it, like, come on, that's a bit much. And I don't mean that in derogatory term. I mean like that's kind of gay. You know, that's what I meant when I say that. Like, gay ass, weird, fucking. I don't know. I get it. I get why ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT like is the downsides is valid. I get that. I'm not gonna say but. I get that. Moving on. The Blue Flame. Great, phenomenal series that I cannot wait to read again. That's all I need to say. Christopher Cantwell knocks down the park. My favorite run of Deadpool I need to finish. Once and for all. So I can officially say it's my favorite run of Deadpool. More of Philip K. Johnson's Hulk run that I absolutely love. Black, which is my guilty pleasure book. One of my many guilty pleasure books. It has great pacing. Like, it's solid. It has solid writing. But the message is one of those messages. Even those kinds of YouTubers, they're right when they say that about that book. They're right. 100% right. Their criticisms are 1% valid. Even if they seem like they're nitpicking, they're not. Spirit World. I apparently gave this 3 out of 5 stars. Spoilers, so I would like this. The Vein. A really weird comic book that I cannot wait to read again. Superman Unchained. One of those books I did not know my library had. They had it, and I was like, okay, I'm picking it up. Why not? Never even heard of the series. And it's a modern DC book, too. The Cemeterians and the Autumnal are proof that Daniel Kraus is the Stephen King of horror graphic novel writing. There's actually a reference to Stephen King in Autumnal, so it comes full circle. Loki, Agent of Asgard by Al Ewing. This is one of those books that I have on the Kindle, but I'm so behind on my Kindle books. I'm like, okay, just get the hard copy. You're not gonna read it until you get the hard copy. It's gonna be fucking 2028 by the time. Even maybe then, that's not gonna be then. By the time you get on the Kindle books, I even had it as one of my New Year's resolutions is to read more of my Kindle books, and I've failed that completely. So Loki, Agent of Asgard. Okay, I finally finished it. Not finished because I haven't. I finally read it because it's not when I finished and then never. It's not when I started but never finished. So say finished now. Then finally read it all the way through. Ultimates, Al Ewing, Remake to Redeem. So these are both by Al Ewing. Both complete collections and both pretty much the same size. Not the same price though, which is kind of funny. But Ultimates is actually a more expensive book, and Ultimates I did not like at all. I thought it was just convoluted space mumbo jumbo jargon that I did not like. Like when people are like, "Oh, I don't like sci-fi movies because of that reason." Yeah, Ultimates. Like when I watched them like Arrival, I really like Arrival, and my entire family hated it. And I'm like, well, And I'm like, why? Like, oh, it's confusing. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. It's too convoluted and shit. And Ultimates is the movie that they must have seen, because I saw a completely different movie than they saw. That's what I'm saying. Like, if they said the same about Ultimates, I'd be like, yeah, I get it 100%. So that's what it was for me. And Al Ewing, I'm not super crazy about to begin with. You know, huge fucking shock. Deceased. Tom Taylor. Gonna finally finish this entire series. There's, 4 or 5 series, volumes in the series? I think it's actually it's 5. Because they have 2 spin-offs, so I'm always like, well, it's a trilogy. I guess it's a trilogy. It's a trilogy, but then there's 2 side quests, 2 spin-offs. Not only spin-offs, there's like 2 little mini-series. One is a digital only that was finally released into hardcover after, I guess, post-pandemic. Anyways, Deceased, Tom Taylor. Then The Riddler, written by the Riddler, the one that plays Riddler in Paul Dano, in the Batman book. And yes, this is taking place, it's the prequel to the Batman. And I really like this, can't wait to read it again. And that is all of the comics that I will be reading in the next few weeks. Ain't got a comic review. This has been going on for 46 minutes long. I'm just going to end it right now.